Most people think they're in control of their life, but they're not. Your environment is controlling you. Your habits are controlling you. Your brain is being trained, whether you realize it or not. What's up, YouTube? It's Ben. And after a brain injury, I had to relearn how to live. And what I realized changed everything. 4 years ago, I was working hard, 16-hour days, but a car accident caused me to wake up in hospital with no memory of 2 weeks of my life. I had to use a wheelchair for the foreseeable future, and I realized that life was very fragile. That moment was the line in the sand and was the start of the rebuild. I had been told that I had a brain injury, and that's when I started observing everything to do with my brain. So my injury caused a huge fascination in the brain. I learned as much as I could about it, and I realized that your environment and your brain inputs influence your brain greatly. I noticed in different environments I had different behaviors. I noticed by doing different habits I had different mental states. So what I realized was that I wasn't in control, my inputs were. And that led me to come to the conclusion that your brain is the most important muscle that you can train. And I'll now highlight some of the reasons I believe this. The first way is neuroplasticity, and that is basically that your brain rewires itself. What you repeatedly do, you reinforce. Just like lifting weights builds muscle, repeating behaviors builds your brain. I believe we can wire our brains to do so much more than we think. I've seen this firsthand in my recovery. Another thing I've learned is that your environment programs you. I was unaware of this before my accident, but I now know your room, your friends, your phone, the music you listen to, all the content you consume, it programs you. Your brain adapts to that standard. My interest in the brain has led me to learn so much about dopamine. Dopamine is so powerful. It's made me so aware of social media and instant gratification. You're not addicted to these behaviors, you're addicted to what your brain has been trained to expect. So for me personally, I've treated my recovery as a science experiment. The biggest realization is the effect that exercise has on my mental health. I notice how I feel after periods of training and periods of not training, and that's really reinforced why I need to do physical activity throughout my life, for the rest of my life. Another realization that I've come to is that your social environment and social interactions are so positive for your brain. I think isolation in the short term can be necessary at times, but in the long term, isolation is not good. And as I've already mentioned, the importance of your environment is critical. So I try to make the environment that I'm living in as conducive with success as possible. And thankfully I now know the types of things I should do to make that environment conducive. For example, by creating as much friction between negative behaviors as possible. And really overall, just giving your brain a break from huge overstimulating dopamine days. I think it's very important to regulate the amount of dopamine spikes that your brain has so that your brain is healthier. Really, I'm just aware of the energy that my brain needs, and it's about managing your cognitive energy, especially with my injury. But as time goes on, I'm getting better and better. Creatine is also a supplement that I've been using for the past 2 years, and I really do think it makes a difference. So I personally believe that everyone can improve their brain health. I don't think they lack motivation, I just think they lack structure and knowledge of how to make their brain healthy. Their environment is too comfortable and they've trained their brain to be weak. Knowledge of consistency beats intensity, and that exercise is the best drug for your mental health can really change things. You approach your days better, and that stacks up and compounds. So if I had to give some actionable advice based on this video, here's what I'd say. First of all, control your inputs, who you're surrounded by, what you consume, and what you repeatedly do daily. Awareness is the first step, and it's so important that you're aware of exactly what you're doing. The next thing I'd do would be build some non-negotiables surrounding the most important aspects of life to improve your brain health. Gym, nutrition, and sleep. The next thing I'd do links to your inputs, and that would be to design your environment. Have a clean space that you're living in. remove any distractions, and add friction to bad habits. This is so important and will compound to make it easier to reaching your goals. And finally, train your brain daily. Journal and read. What you repeatedly do, you become. So the reason why I'm so interested in this is because of my injury. I didn't just have to rebuild my body, I had to rebuild my brain. And from coming from not able to walk, using a wheelchair for 3 months, I believe I'm a different person today because of what I've learned. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. Your life changes when your inputs change. So the question is, what are you feeding your brain? Peace.